Hello, my name is Randy Long, and I'm the chair of the Garfield County Child Advocacy Council, and I'm here today with Dustin Albright, our executive director. Dustin, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Dustin Albright, and like I said, I'm the executive director for Garfield County Child Advocacy Council. I was with the Enid Police Department from 1997 till 2020, and I worked most of my career investigating cases of against child abuse and physical sexual abuse, and it was kind of a good fit. When I retired, Carol Wade, the co-founder, she retired at the same time, and my passion has always been fighting for the rights and justice for abused children. So I applied, and I think it was kind of divine. That's where I was meant to be.
Well, I think that's so because you were one of the first juvenile officers to do forensic interviews at the center. Then you served on the board for several years, and now you are executive director. So you've been involved about all facets of what we do. So let's tell those listening a little bit more about the mission of the Garfield County Child Advocacy Council.
Sure. So our mission is to stop child abuse, neglect, and exploitation as we strengthen our community by advocating for our children through prevention, education, and intervention, using a collaborative, multidisciplinary, child-friendly approach.
And so what programs do you administer through the Garfield County Child Advocacy Council?
So in 1997, just a bit to go back, we didn't have a campus where we could provide services to children. So it was really kind of a bad situation, but it's all we had. We had to interview children that were sexually and physically abused at the police department in an interrogation room. It was very sanitary, only a clock on the wall. So in 1997, Senator Malachik and Carol Wade and some other people put together the multidisciplinary organization. And so the services we provide are forensic interviews for children, and I say forensic because they're collecting like criminal and legal type information for a case, and that's done in a very child-friendly environment. It's a 2-story home, 1006 East Broadway, and it's very warm, and the child feels safe to cut down or to mitigate more trauma to the child. We also provide SANE exams there. We have a PEDI SANE, a pediatric SANE nurse, and that's a sexual assault nurse examiner. So they do those on site. We also have victim advocacy, and victim advocacy is where one of our staff meets with the family, and while the child is being interviewed, and gets information that helps us refer them to further services or needs that they have. So that can be mental health counseling. We can refer them to counselors so they get the help they need.
We have another house that we use. You mentioned the one where the forensic interviews. We call that the Yellow House. I tell everybody we worked really hard on those names because it's yellow, and adjacent to it is what we call the White House.
The White House.
Because it's painted white. But that's where DHS does reunification visits, and so it's a home-like setting that really, we think, aids that process because it's in a home-like setting, makes it easier. They can cook a meal, they can play on the toys in the backyard and that sort.
Yes.
Then we have another program called CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Okay, so a CASA is a special advocate that's appointed by a judge and sworn in so that they can serve for the best needs of the child. So typically in the past, there's only been a few people that could testify in a hearing, and that would be the police officer, the detective, an eyewitness, DHS, and now, since DHS is busy doing, they have many cases, and so do police officers, we have this CASA that meets with the child at least once a month in person, or they can do FaceTime if we have like COVID type situation going on. and they meet with them and talk to them every month, and they become that person that the kids trust, and they can advocate for the best interest of the child and be that voice in court, because everybody else wants something different, and the CASA is specifically there just for the child.
And that's so important, as we've seen through the success of the program. And you're always needing volunteers for that program as well, because, as you've pointed out, that unique role that the CASA fills, they're there for the child. The judge can't go out and do his own investigation, so I always view a CASA as the eyes and ears and hands and legs of the judge.
Yes.
They do their independent investigation, they get to know the child, and then they're telling the court and giving it from the child's view as to what that child needs, regardless of what the other stakeholders may need. So if you're always looking for volunteers, so if there's someone out there that wants to be a CASA, you would welcome their input, and all they need to do is go to our website or contact the Garfield County Child Advocacy Council, and you can get them signed up. And there is a training program to be a CASA, so they don't have to have any experience. You'll give them the training and education, and then work with them as they go forward.
Yes, it's just another voice of neutrality. You know, we make sure that they get their hours. There's only 15 hours that they can do online, and then there's 15 hours of in person. And what I like to tell people is CASA is not fostering. CASA is not taking the child home. All it is about 6 to 8 hours a month, and visiting the child for about an hour or so a month, and that's it. And for such low amount of time, it is such a huge impact for the child.
Tell us about something that's coming up and what's special about April.
April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we have an awareness project, and also it's one of our major fundraisers for the year. And what it is we have cutouts of wooden children. And I know people probably have seen those children standing out on the northeast corner of the Garfield County Courthouse. And so on April 1st, from 5 to 5:30, we'll have people come together. We ask that anybody comes down that wants to, and we have a short presentation. Mayor George Pankinen will be there and give a proclamation. And what it does is it represents the amount or the number of substantiated child abuse cases in Garfield County.
I think that's an important point to make, because that's the substantiated one, and so that means that there are many that are unsubstantiated, and therefore we can't document those. And we'd like to see that go down to none. That's probably not going to happen, but that's our goal.
Yes.
As an agency, is to do everything that we can through prevention, education, dealing with those who are victims, so that we can get the perpetrator off the street, so to speak, and that's why this is so important. And right now, you're asking for those that are interested in sponsoring a wooden child to contact and be getting that child and getting them dressed, because part of it is getting the child dressed, and it's always fun to see how people dress them. At the same time, it's a little bittersweet when you stop and think about what that signifies, but what a great way to show what's going on in our community.
Yes.
We like to think that some of these things are things that only go on in the larger communities, but that's just not true. It's right here, unfortunately, in our backyard. And as a part of that, we've branched out, haven't we?
Yes, we also we're trying to do this with lesser manpower in other counties. But if you'd like to foster a child, just call 580-242-1153. We will have a pickup date on March 23rd where you can come pick up your child. Then you go, dress them, go to a thrift shop, Park Avenue Thrift or one of the others, and get a 3T stretchy material And just bring your child. You get a little nameplate for the child that says who is fostering the child. Bring it down to the courthouse lawn, and that helps us. Now, in the other counties this year, we're doing blue pinwheels. Blue signifies the blue ribbon for child abuse prevention. And just because of not knowing how many wooden children and stuff, we're doing the blue pinwheels in Kingfisher, Blaine, and Woodward counties.
Now, as we wind up and conclude this program, the center has some needs. Could you address that
Yes.
quickly?
We always need toilet paper, reams of copy paper, Kleenexes, hygiene items, but also we're asking for any used video game systems, video games that are appropriate for children, used DVD players, also movies that are appropriate for children. We always need those items, and we're trying to make things a little bit more updated in our house, so those would be nice items.
And tell us about your staff as we close.
Yeah, so we have Sheila McHenry, and she is the most tenured person. She's been there for 9, almost 10 years. She is a forensic interviewer. We have Tashana Armstrong. We have Michelle Baldwin, who is our petty sane and also victim advocate. We have Allison Burrow that just started today. Today is her first day. And we have Kendra O'Hearn, who is my executive assistant. And obviously, me. I kind of oversee things, but what I like to tell people is I have the best staff you could ever ask for. And they are who does the work at GCCAC.
Dustin, thank you for being here with me today. This has been very informative, I hope. And if anybody wants to know any more about the Garfield County Child Advocacy Council and what they can do to help, give them that number as we end.
Yes, so it's 580-242-1153. We also have Facebook, and we have a website. It's the www.thecarecampus.com.